Hi, I'm Dr. Cindy Dupuy. I have a PhD in learning disabilities. I do diagnosis assessment, um, advocacy, and intervention. I'm also an adult with dyslexia and dysgraphia.
Hi, my name's Kim Sharman. I work with kids with dyslexia, dysgraphia, and ADHD, and I have ADHD myself.
Okay, and what we're talking about now, and the reason I made you stop is because we were having this great discussion on the art of assessment. Tell me what you were saying just a minute ago.
Um, I was saying that Cindy has taught me a lot about the differences between different IQ tests, but I was saying that it really is an art that she can pick the correct IQ test that she smells that a child needs, and then the correct achievement tests. And what she was saying that's not, I mean, I know that's not the only art, but I think it's a good place to start.
Right. And so what I was saying is, like, to me, picking the right IQ test is like old hat now. To me, the more important thing is to look at errors. And that's the thing that I think is missing from most clinical programs is error analysis.
Yeah.
Why did the student make the mistake that they made? And what does that mistake tell us? So, for example, if a kid misreads a word, let's take the word seven. What are the two ways you could decode seven, Kim?
They could say Steven.
Seven or seven, right? So, what would that tell you if they read it as seven?
They're first of all, they're not familiar with hearing that word. They don't recognize it. And they've used one of the rules of dividing things into syllables, but
They've overgeneralized a rule, right? Okay. What if they had a word like this, and they read, what would you then think?
then they do not have the sound symbol course. I mean, they have no idea what that letter is or means.
So this to me is pointing to like an orthographic issue. I also have kids that will try and make nonsense words into real words. So if you give them something like, uh, they will read it as, so they're not actually decoding the nonsense word. They're trying to make it into a real word and they're guessing based on initial and final letter, right?
Because
And
they're so
so,
desperate. I mean, they've survived through memorization, so they're trying to make that be a real word, and they don't know
right.
how to do it. Yeah.
And so what I'm always trying to do and is I'm always trying to look for patterns in the kinds of mistakes that kids are making. This is what always cracks me up when people are like, can't you just dictate your reports? Isn't that like, wouldn't that be faster? And it's like the dictation is not the slow part. The slow part is going in and pulling out the right examples to illustrate the kinds of mistakes that a kid is making and why. And
Yeah.
so I'm going back in, and it will take me probably 20 or 30 minutes to write the one accuracy subtest on the gray order reading test because I'm looking through every single story and I'm finding deletions, I'm finding substitutions, I'm finding insertions, I'm finding aborts where a student starts to read a word, stops, and then continues to read. And then I'm finding decoding errors because I want to give a good sampling of the kinds of mistakes that they're making in decoding. And I also do substitutions, right? Where you put a different word in for the one. And you have to differentiate a substitution from a decoding error, right? And so I'm trying to pull out all of those examples. Why is that helpful to you as a clinician?
I was just going to say, even though I don't do the testing, when I see these patterns of what they're doing, that impacts what I do to practice with them to remediate them. I
Right.
mean, I know what I have to work on.
Now,
And
you, yeah, you gave me an amazing tool. So because I can't use any item directly from the test because I violate test confidentiality and I destroy the accuracy of the test. Because if you know what's on the test, I'm no longer testing what you know, I'm testing what you've had access to. So you made me an alternate list of nonsense words, which is frickin' gold to me. Because what I do is I go in and I take a look at the word that they misread and what mistake they made. And then I go to your A and B version of how to read or a comparable decodable nonsense word. And I pick one and illustrate the kind of mistake that they made in that alternate word. So I'm not giving anything away on the test, but I'm giving you concrete information. And then you, because you've taught decoding for so many years, can look at it and go, oh, that's what the kid is doing, right?
Yeah, that kid doesn't know her phonograms. She doesn't know, she doesn't know how to divide a word into syllables. She's missing consonants. I mean, everything.
Or she doesn't know this particular exception. When it's like this, we do X, Y, and Z, right?
Right, right.
Um, and so that ability to go in and do that analysis is time intensive and skill intensive. And most clinicians aren't trained in how to do that because most psychologists have not been taught structured literacy. They haven't taken a course in decoding, right? How do I teach a kid to read? Why would they?
And when she gives me her reports, I get examples. I can go through it. It doesn't just say dysgraph or orthographic processing issues. I get examples of every single type of error the kid makes. So I know I got to do this one, then I got to do this one, then I got to do this one.
And I always question my sanity as I'm sitting and writing all of these reports. It's like, what is the value in this? And then I know the value in it, but it is a laborious process. And I think one of the things that we need to do a video on is we need to pull out like the weight on a kid and pull up some reading samples. I know I asked some other people to send me some reading samples of the kids, and I got 2 or 3, and then I deleted junk in my email and I lost them. And I apologize profusely. We would still love to see a couple of people read for us so that we can do some analysis for people. But I think teaching people how to do the error analysis is super valuable. And maybe we should do some more of that.
I
But
love doing that kind of stuff, forensic analysis of, I do that with kids' tests. Like I'll go to the school and I can ascertain,
right.
what was
And errors are part of learning. You can't learn if you're not making mistakes. That's
right.
inherent in it. And the question is, why are the mistakes there and what do the mistakes tell us about a kid's understanding of a concept? I mean, so the great irony in the public school system is we give these summative assessments, meaning we're at the end of the chapter, we see what you know and we see what you don't know, but we don't go back and reteach what a kid didn't understand. We just continue to go forward. We say, oh, you should know everything on this test, right? And then, hey, you didn't do well, but we're on to the next section, on to genetics, right? Or on to, World War II, not going back and making sure that a kid understands what they didn't understand.
Right.
And that's
And a lot of times kids don't know what they don't know.
right.
So it takes someone like you or me to go in and say, okay, I see what's happening.
Right. And so the biggest thing, I guess the biggest advice we could give parents is when they look at their kids' work, they should try and be somewhat of a detective, right? What kinds of mistakes is my student making? Did they not understand a fundamental concept? Did they not read the question correctly? Did they not organize their thoughts well? Did they miss a fundamental concept? Like, that's the kind of thing that you're trying to ferret out. And a really good teacher can figure that out and then go back and do the instruction to catch a kid up.
Yep.
Questions or comments, let us know. We always appreciate hearing from you. Thanks.
Thank you.